Hi, and welcome to Lesson 14 in our program entitled Leadership at the Points of Contact. In this section of the program, we're looking at one of the key roles that leaders play in organizational settings, and that is to expand and enhance employee engagement. What I mean by that is to broaden employee participation in crucial organizational processes. In the previous lessons in this section of the program, I've introduced what I see as four premises or underlying truths that become the basis for the techniques that I'm suggesting that you use in this key leadership role. The premises all speak to the relationship between value and the choices that other people make. In this case, the choices your employees make. So let's go through those very quickly. The first premise says that the only reason employees will do the things we want them to do, in this case, participate more actively in these processes or become more engaged, is if they believe they're going to receive sufficient value to justify their doing so. Number two, every one of these employees has his or her own somewhat unique definitions of value. The things that represent value to these employees are not exactly the same, and those definitions change. Number three, the only way you can be sure how or even if you can deliver the value they're seeking is if you understand what represents value to them. And finally, the fourth one, the only way to ensure you have that level of understanding is to have them explain their definitions of value to you. So based on those truths, the technique that I have introduced is really a series of four questions. The first questions we introduced a couple of lessons ago, the what questions. The second, and that's how you initiate this process, the second type of question, the priority questions, where you ask them to assign some order or ranking of importance to the things they've said are important to them. This whole technique is designed to help us bridge a gap that seems to exist in too many organizations, and it's specifically a gap in the way organizational leaders interact with their staff with regard to trying to expand their engagement. And that's the distinction between understanding and assuming. Unfortunately, we too often, I think, rely on the latter. We have superficial information, and based on that, we make decisions, and then we seem to be kind of astounded when those decisions don't pay off for us. So what we've done with the four types of questions, what we're doing is providing you with tools you can use to bridge that gap and develop the understanding. With the what questions, you asked employees to explain to you, list for you the things they want back from your organization in return for the things you ask them to do. And with the priority questions, you ask them to rank those things in their order of importance. With the third type of question that we're introducing in this lesson, clarification questions, you're taking another giant step toward bridging that gap between assumption and understanding. The clarification questions will allow you to do about two or three things that I think are extremely important. The first thing that the clarification question is going to do is going to reinforce for your employees your commitment to understanding and delivering the value they're seeking. Second, and clearly primary importance, is going to give you a level of understanding that you otherwise wouldn't have. And third, it's going to provide your employees a model for the way you'd kind of like for them to behave toward their internal and external constituents, their fellow employees and or your organization's culture. When you demonstrate for them your commitment to understanding and delivering the value they're seeking, you set the stage for their doing exactly the same thing with these internal and external constituents. So let's talk about the clarification question. You're not always going to use these. And what I mean by that is when you hear a response to the first type of question, what are some of the things you want back from us in return for the things we ask you to do? If an employee says something like, I expect you to praise me when I do something well, that's pretty specific, isn't it? But what if that employee says in response to that question, I expect recognition? What does that mean? I mean, we all understand that it means different things to different people. Again, this is an opportunity to get beyond assuming and understand. So here's the way you might use a clarification question with an employee who's indicated that recognition is one of the things they expect back. Let's say the employee's name is John. You might say something like, John, I'm sure you'd agree that recognition means different things to different people, right? And inevitably, he's going to say right. The second part of the question then would be, John, I'm not comfortable making assumptions about what it means to you. So help me understand, what would we have to do to meet your expectation for recognition? Again, what are you doing here? You are reinforcing for John your commitment to understanding and delivering the specific value that he is looking for to meeting his specific expectations. So let's continue now with our action items for Lesson 14. Since you and the other members of your leadership team are the people who are going to facilitate these exchanges, it's important that you become comfortable and proficient with the process, with the types of questions that I'm using. So to help you do that, I'm encouraging each of you to answer those questions yourselves before you begin asking employees to do so. After having identified the things you want from your organization in return for the things you're expected to do, and after ranking those things in their order of importance to you, I want you to describe the things your organization must do or provide in order to meet each of your expectations. If you will continue with these action items, you will dramatically increase the learning from each of these lessons. And I encourage you to do so, and we'll pick up here with Lesson 15.